Coming up on the next edition of Power and Politics, a politically wounded Ron DeSantis heads back to Florida after dropping out of the race for president. How will that affect his remaining time as governor? And a move in the state legislature to make it easier to sue the news media. Hello and welcome to another edition of Power and Politics. I'm your host, Frank Cipolla. Power and Politics is a weekly, unbiased look at the top stories affecting the state of Florida, with a special emphasis on the thinking behind those decisions that affect our lives. To get into that aspect of it, I am joined today, as I am every week, by my co-host, Emmy Award-winning political psychologist, Dr. Bart Rossi. Doctor, welcome.
Great to be here, Frank.
All right, a surprise announcement this week as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race for the White House. Meanwhile, former South Carolina governor and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley still looking at an uphill battle as her home state of South Carolina gears up for the next presidential primary. Quickly, let's review what happened in New Hampshire this week.
Well, Frank, two things. I think Donald Trump looks good. He's got the base of the Republican Party. That's a positive for him. On the other side, he's not garnering the votes from independents. And that's a warning sign. It's a red flashing light for him because he's got those deep red votes. But beyond that, it's a question mark.
All right. We mentioned at the top of the show that Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race. I predicted after Iowa he would. He stuck around a few more days and then they made the announcement just before New Hampshire. Surprise to you?
Well, Frank, in the hip community, they use the word today, Riz. You know Riz? You know Riz? It's the Riz. Do you have the Riz from charisma?
I got you.
He doesn't have it. The governor did not look at his personality and how he would present himself as a person. You need to show up in the room. You need a person with character and personality first and foremost. And he did not show up with a personality. One of the pundits in Iowa, a Republican, said he went to 99 different counties. And the more they saw him, the more they didn't want to vote for him. So what does that say?
Because he doesn't have the Riz, as you like.
He doesn't have the Riz.
All right. Did he learn anything from this experience? And I'm going to talk about that later on in my commentary. But did he learn anything significant with regard to running a presidential campaign that maybe he can use 4 years from now?
Well, Frank, we can only answer that question by saying he should learn a lot. Now, if he chooses not to, what does that say about him and about himself? Because he has to be able to present himself better. And then there's the second factor, the policy issue. He has gone to such an extreme that a lot of people aren't really relating to him.
Now, you know, he could come back. Nixon did it.
Right.
He lost in 60. He came back in 68. There's a great story about Bill Clinton, who ran for governor, won, and then was ousted 4 years later. And he spent the next 4 years asking everyone he knew, what did I do wrong? And he learned, and he came back. He won the governorship, and then he went on to become president. But my question to you is, DeSantis is back. He's wounded.
Right.
He's not the toast of the town anymore. So what kind of reception does he get? And does he come back angry or does he come back humbled?
Well, it's a big question. But if you think about Reagan, they called him the great communicator for a reason. Well, DeSantis needs to think about how he can make compromises, how he could reach out to people, how he could have a winning personality in terms of being comfortable in terms of who he is and comfortable in his own skin, reach out to everyone, and also look like a good listener. He looks like it's a one-way street, my way or the highway.
Well, the campaign was never back down.
Never back down.
So that said it right there.
And that really sets a bad precedent from the beginning, really.
Something else I'll talk about in my commentary. Okay. But so the next question, Dr. Rossi, is there a possibility in 2028, that Governor DeSantis runs again? I am of the school that by that time there's a whole different cast of characters.
I'm going to take the positive road here, Frank, okay? All right?
Because you got Riz.
I'm going to say that he has every opportunity. He has 3 more years, or approximately 3 more years as governor. He can modify his personality. He doesn't have to change it and be a different person, but he can become more moderate. He could work on how he presents himself, speak in sound bites and make some sense. But he needs to be able to do this and believe that he needs to change. My question is he going to do that, or is he going to remain very far to the right, extreme right-winger? He founded the Freedom Caucus, remember? Mm-hmm. So is he going to stay in that mode? That's the question.
That is the $64,000 question.
Right.
All right. Time now for one of our regular segments, a commentary from Dr. Bart Rossi we call the Rossi Rant.
And Frank, I'd like to go off on messaging today. Let's start off with the Republicans, okay? Here in Florida especially, they're supposed to be for less government and for freedom. It's the party of freedom. But when it comes to abortion, we have a 6-week ban. Most women in the Republican Party don't like this, and most independents and Democrats, of course, don't go for it. On guns, the government's coming in and say, well, no more permits, and anybody can get a gun without a background check, a Florida background check. And then when it comes to diversity, we're trying to get rid of diversity programs and black programs. So more government coming in, but they're for less government. So the Republican Party's not making good messaging across the board. Take the Democrats. Let's go with them too. When it comes to taxes and money, what do people have to look forward to if they become successful and make more money?
All right, coming up, the news media in the state is under attack with efforts to make it easier to sue members of the press when Power and Politics continues.
Discover excellence in video production with ITZ Media Group, the leading choice in Florida for corporate, commercial, documentary, and reality TV show marketing. We do more than make videos. We deliver cinematic experiences with reliable results. If you need a turnkey solution that elevates your brand, contact ITZ Media Group today at 239-573-1111 or visit us online at itzmediagroup.com.
Need a marketing agency to help you take care of business? Visit Quinzel.com. Our clients get more customers.
Welcome back to Power and Politics. The Florida legislature is a few weeks into its 60-day legislative session, and there is on the agenda a controversial measure to make it easier to sue news media for defamation. Dr. Rossi, I'm a little bit perplexed about this. What do you think about that?
Well, where is this coming from? People who want to blame the media? I mean, today, I think it's going the other way now. People are understanding that politicians, when they go bad, they just want to blame the media. It's not them. It's not them personally. It's not their policies. They just want to blame the media. And people are starting to see that this is really kind of a fake argument. And I wonder where this is coming from. It doesn't make a lot of good sense to me.
In the last segment, we touched on Governor Ron DeSantis returning after dropping out of the presidential race. Does he use this opportunity and this bill if he comes back angry? And we don't know how he's coming back. He could be humbled or he could be angry. If he comes back angry about losing, does he use this as an opportunity to maybe muzzle the news media?
He might use it as an opportunity to say that his failed campaign was the result of the media and not himself. Mm-hmm. He could throw out the blame somewhere else. And that's a possibility. And a lot of politicians, of course, do that all the time. So I question this whole motivation here behind the bill.
On the topic of censorship, the Florida House is debating a bill that would ban minors under the age of 16 from creating social media accounts, essentially saying if you're under 16 in the state of Florida, you can't be on social media.
Frank, as per my rant, less government. Oh, but wait a minute, we're going to have more government and more rules. What about parents? Shouldn't the parents be involved in this? I don't think government needs to go onto overreach here. That's just my view.
And here's the question, and it's in the formulative stages, obviously, hasn't been passed. But how do you enforce something like that?
That's why it doesn't make good sense. I mean, logically and psychologically, it doesn't make good sense because this should be thrown back to the parents and their modification of what happens with kids.
We've seen some of the policies in the state of Florida buck what the general public wants. One of the issues is abortion, where nearly 60% of Floridians would like abortion to be better access to it and so on. And what they have is a 6-week ban. And now there's a bill working its way through the legislature as well that would essentially ban all abortions unless it threatens the life of the mother. And if they find out that a doctor is performing an abortion, he or she can go to jail and be fined. Your thoughts on that one?
Well, last week we used the term political stunt. I'm going to use it again this week because that's what it is. It's a political stunt. Most people don't like that. I mean, they're not going to appreciate this. But this is a pitch to the far right here in Florida. And some politicians are going to probably try to gain from this. But I think it's a losing argument, and it doesn't look good. The optics are very bad here.
We're about 10 months away from Election Day, not only in the nation, but also in the state of Florida. And the I should say pro-life folks are pushing back against this possible amendment that would be on the ballot. It needs 60% approval of the voters of Florida. It's been seen in Ohio and Kansas and other states as well. That would roll back these restrictions. What are the chances that 60% of Floridians say, hey, we want free access to abortion, to women's health, and so on?
Well, it's possible to get over 60%, but that's a big number.
And it used to be 50.
Yeah, well,
it used to be 50.
Well, let me just comment on that, because this is what bothers me. We're supposed to be in a democracy. So let's say 58 or 59% of the people vote for this amendment, but it doesn't pass, so that the other 42 or 41% of the people control the rest of the people. So it's not a democracy. I mean, the way this is set up, it's a high bar, it's a heavy lift, and I don't think that's right. I think it should be 50%.
Getting back to Ron DeSantis for a moment, we mentioned he's out of the presidential sweepstakes. He's here in Florida. He's looking at the possibility of these bills passing the legislature and then the option of making them law. We're trying to get into his head, and I know that's always difficult. But does he use this opportunity, as you mentioned a moment ago, to modify his stance in anticipation of a possible run for president in 2028? Or does he double down on this sort of right-wing agenda and say, hey, yes, I'm going to make it easier for folks to sue the news media. I'm going to make the abortion ban even stricter, and so on and so forth. Does he go that route, or does he say, hey, and in the state legislature as well, they don't need to listen to him anymore because essentially he's a lame duck.
He's a lame duck, that's right.
So where does this go?
Well, Frank, that is a very good question, because there's two sides to this, and he's going to have to make a turn. You know, when Yogi Berra once said, you know, when you come to a fork in the road, you have to take it. Yogiism, okay? Well, the governor's got to take this opportunity. Is he going to remain far right, as per your question, or is he going to modify himself, his personality, and his policies? So we're going to have to see, but there's an opportunity for him here to change and modify.
You've given us a yogiism today. And as you said, the kids like to say the word Riz. Which is charisma today. You on top of it, Doctor.
Oh, I don't know.
You are the political psychologist, and I appreciate that.
The Riz.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the always popular sunshine or shower segment, when we see who enjoyed a day on the beach this week and who got caught in the rain, when Power and Politics continues.
Experience an unforgettable Everglades adventure with Captain Jack's Total Everglades Combo Package. Begin with a thrilling airboat ride through twisting mangrove tunnels in Everglades City. Next, continue your airboat experience at Wooten's private 259-acre reserve. Get your adrenaline pumping as you glide through wide-open glades. Take a swamp buggy tour through grasslands, a cypress forest, and manatee pond. Learn about Everglades folklore and history as you try to spot wild alligators, birds, and other animals. Watch a live alligator show with a professional handler and hold your own baby alligator. See alligators, tigers, lions, otters, and other rescued animals in our sanctuary. Enjoy refreshments in our gift shop and take a piece of the Everglades home with you. Captain Jack's is fun for people of all ages and is open 365 days a year.
Welcome back to Power and Politics. As you know, the weather can change in an instant in Florida, so every week we span the great state to find out who enjoyed some sunshine and who needed an umbrella. It's time for our popular segment, Sunshine or Showers. We're going to start with the sunshine this week. Who is in the sunshine?
Frank, I have Florida Gulf Coast University in the Sunshine because of their mental health center. It was established about 5 years ago. I think they're going into their 5th or 6th year now, and it's been a remarkable success. They have a center for all of the kids going to school, faculty, family members. They can go in and get mental health care. They can deal with their anxiety, depression, frustration with school, all their personal problems. It's a model that all universities across the country should take on. It's really a success story. It's a big story, and Florida Gulf Coast University deserves the sunshine.
And you're a psychologist, so you come in contact with, or have over your career, contact with people dealing with mental health issues.
As you know, the weather can change in an instant in
these
Florida,
problems.
so every week
They have come
the
front
great
and
state
center,
to find out
created
who
a
enjoyed some
mental health
sunshine
center
and
that
who
makes sense.
needed an
Okay,
umbrella.
now do you
It's
ask
time
me
for
if
a
I'm,
popular
or
segment.
do I just go?
Sunshine or
All right.
showers? We
I
wanted
have
to
in the
start with
sunshine this week
This week,
the
who's in the sunshine?
Florida State
Frank, I have
Senate, which
Florida
unanimously
Gulf Coast
passed a
University
comprehensive
in the
health
sunshine
bill. And we
because
talked
of their
about this
mental
briefly
health
last
center.
week.
It was established
15%
about
of the
5 years
residents
ago.
in
I think they're
Florida
going into their
are
5th
taking
or 6th
advantage
year
of
now.
Obamacare.
And it's been a
It's one of
remarkable
the
success.
states where
They
most
have
of the people
a center
who
for
have
all the kids going to
the ability
school,
go down
faculty,
Obamacare
family
are.
members.
And
they
the
can go in and get
Senate
mental health
has stepped up and said, you know
care.
what,
They
we are
can
going
deal
to
with
give
their
you some
anxiety,
additional medical care.
depression,
I don't think there is a
frustration
senator,
with school,
a member of the
all their personal
legislature.
problems.
I don't think there's
It's a
anyone who would say,
model
no, we need
that
less
all
health
universities
care.
across the
So
country
I'm
should-
going to
should
applaud.
take
They're in the
on.
sunshine.
It's
The
really a
Florida
success
State
story.
Senate is in the sunshine
It's a
this
big
week,
story.
unanimously
and,
passing
Florida
comprehensive
Gulf
health.
Coast University Great that deserves they the put them in sunshine.
And you're
I
a
hope this
psychologist,
is a
so you
step
come
in
in
the
contact
direction
with
of
or have
Medicaid expansion here in
people
Florida,
dealing with
because that would help even Yeah,
more.
and rather
Only
than
one of 10
minimize or
states that does
marginalize
not
these
have that
problems,
expansion.
they have
All right, you know,
come
listen,
front and
with
center,
every sunshine you
created
got,
a
and you've
mental
seen
health
it,
center that
especially
makes sense.
in parts of
Okay,
Florida
now
this
do you
year
ask
where
me if
El
I'm-
Nino,
I'm
I
gonna
think they
ask
call
you.
it, has given
No,
us some
go ahead.
cloudy
Go
weather. and
ahead.
some
I have
There's
in the
showers.
sunshine, this
So
week,
who is in the showers this
Florida
week for you?
State
Well,
Senate,
Frank,
which
I have to
unanimously
put
passed a
Governor
comprehensive
DeSantis
health
in the
bill.
showers
And we
because
talked
of
about
his
this briefly last
campaign.
week.
It may be
15%
the worst
of the residents in
political
Florida
campaign
are
in the
taking
history
advantage
of
of
presidential
Obamacare.
politics.
It's one of the states
And
where
the reason
most
is-
of the people who
Well,
have
there's two reasons.
the ability to get
Personality
on Obamacare
and
are.
policy.
And the
He didn't
state
look at his
Senate has
personality.
stepped
He
up
didn't
and said, you know
understand
what,
how to
we are
present
going to give you
himself.
some additional
He didn't look
medical
at it
care. I don't
before
think there
he
is
started.
a senator,
It was my way or the
member
highway.
of the
And
legislature.
his policies are
I don't think there's
extreme
anyone
on
who would say,
abortion,
no, we
on
need
guns,
less
and
health care.
pushing back
So
against
I'm
black
going
and
to applaud. They're in the
diversity.
sunshine.
It doesn't
The
make
Florida
good sense.
State Senate
It
is in
just
the
doesn't
sunshine
make.
this week.
It never made sense.
Unanimously
But you were
passing
able to pull that
and
off.
I think it's
if
great
you
that
have
they
the
put him in the
personality
sunshine, and
to
I
pull
hope
that
this
off.
is a
I'm
step in the
surprised when we're
direction
talking about
of
Governor
Medicaid
DeSantis
expansion
again,
here in
that
Florida,
he wasn't
because that would
media
help even
coached
more.
by someone to say, hey, don't
Yeah,
do this
that's
with your
right.
tongue,
That's right.
smile
listen,
more this
with every
way,
sunshine
shake the
you
hand
get. You've
stronger,
seen it,
whatever
especially
his
in parts of
shortcomings
Florida
were,
this year
that they were
where
not
El Nino, I
addressed
think they
before
call
they
it,
put
has
him
given
out
us some
on the
cloudy
campaign
weather
trail.
And that's because I
the
don't think
showers.
he wanted to
So
take
who
any
is in
advice
the
from
showers this
anyone.
week?
That's
Well,
the kind of
Frank,
personality
I have to
that
put
I'm feeling.
Governor
Because
DeSantis
if
in
you
the
look at
showers
Reagan, for
because of
example,
his
he wanted to
campaign.
learn
It
more.
may
He
be
always wanted to
the
do
worst
better.
political campaign
And,
in the
I see
history
a lot
of
of
presidential
politicians today that don't
politics,
have that
actually.
mindset.
All right,
And
so
the reason
in the showers
is-
for me this week is
Well, there's two
House
reasons.
Speaker Mike Johnson.
Personality and policy.
Not so much for
He
what
didn't
he
look
has
at his
done, but what's
personality. He
coming.
didn't
And I'll
understand how to
explain
present
that.
himself.
He's working
He
with the
didn't look
White
at it
House on
before he
bills to keep the
started.
government
It was
running and
my
some
way
other
or the highway.
legislation.
And his
But already
policies
there
are extreme
rumblings
on abortion, on
to
the
get rid of him.
guns,
And this goes back to
pushing back against
Speaker
black and
McCarthy,
diversity.
when he allowed the
It
House of
doesn't make good
Representatives,
sense.
the conference
It just doesn't make. It never made
just
sense.
one
But
vote
you were
was able
pull
to
that
force a
off
vote for a new
if you have
speaker.
the
He's
personality
got
to pull that off.
he's got
I'm
a sword
surprised
above
we're
his
talking
head
about
that can
Governor
fall at
DeSantis
any moment.
that he wasn't
So I'm not saying he's in the
media
showers
coached by
because of
someone to
anything
say,
he's
hey, don't
done.
do this with your
But
tongue,
there's a rainstorm
smile
coming, I
more
think,
this
because
way,
already there are
shake the
rumblings
hand
about
stronger,
replacing him.
whatever
And
his
he has to make a
shortcomings
decision
were,
also.
that they were not
Is he going to
addressed
show up
before
in
they
the
put
room
him
with a
out on the
personality
campaign.
and make
And
some
that's
real
because I don't
decisions?
think he
Or is he
wanted
gonna
to take
waffle
any
back and
advice
forth
from
because of the
anyone.
right wing
That's
in
the
the
kind of
party?
personality
Maybe
that
he needs a
I'm
session
with you. feeling.
Could be.
Because if you look at
right,
Reagan,
thank you,
for
Doctor.
example,
Okay,
he
it's time for a
wanted to
break.
learn
When we
more.
return,
He
a
always
commentary
wanted to do
by
better.
yours
Yours truly titled,
And
Let's Be Frank.
I see a lot of
when Power and
politicians today that
Politics
don't have that
continues.
mindset.
All right, so the big challenge for me this week is House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Okay.
Not so much for what he has done, but what's coming. You know, it's just working with the White House on bills to keep government and some other legislation. But already there are rumblings to get rid of it. And this goes back to Speaker McCarthy, when he allowed the House of Representatives, the conference specifically.
Need a marketing agency to help you take care of business? Visit quinzel.com. Our clients get more customers.
Discover excellence in video production with ITZ Media Group. the leading choice in Florida for corporate, commercial, documentary, and reality TV show marketing.
And he
We
has
do
to
more
make
than
a
make
decision
videos.
also.
We deliver
Is he going to
cinematic
show up in the room
experiences
with a personality and make
results.
some real decisions?
If you need a
or is he
turnkey
going to
solution
waffle
that
back and
elevates
forth
your
because
brand,
of the right wing in
contact
the party?
ITZ Media Group today at
Could be.
239-573-1111 or visit us online at itzmediagroup.com.
When Power and Politics continues. Welcome back. 8 months and $269 million later, the good governor from the great state of Florida is back home licking his wounds after dropping out of the presidential sweepstakes. Less than a year ago, he was the toast of the town, the alternative to Donald Trump, who would continue his battle against woke culture and, most importantly, never back down. What a difference a few months make. We have covered on this show his shortfalls, specifically his glaring inability to connect with people. Whatever his plans going forward, he needs to address his lack of basic social skills before he even thinks about running again. So the question is, what did he learn? Well, we did get a rare admission from the governor this week, a fault he readily admits and a warning to all current and future politicians. DeSantis said in an interview, quote, "I came in not really doing as much media. I should have just been blanketing. I should have gone on all the corporate shows. I should have gone on everything," unquote. To which I add, you think? I'd like a nickel for every politician who thought he could control the news media. In DeSantis' case, he locked out any and all press that was not conservative-minded, essentially doing interviews with only those who agreed with him, preaching to the choir. As a longtime former reporter who's covered politicians of all stripes, a word to the wise: it's never good to battle the news media. The savvy politicians understand that. The job of the news media is to poke and prod. The good ones play the game of laughing off nonsensical questions and politely pushing back when need be. Ronald Reagan was a pro at it. He was likable even if you disagreed with him. The same for Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush. The new model of screaming fake news, mocking news outlets, and locking reporters out of press conferences comes off as weak and mean. Recently, California Governor Gavin Newsom debated Ron DeSantis on one of the conservative national news outlets. Regardless of what you think of Newsom, that was seen as brave. He reached an audience that most likely never even heard him state his political views. Here's the bottom line for anyone looking to run for office. Reporters do not like to be insulted. They do not like to be bullied. Bereft of information from the candidate, they start talking to those who know him or her and dig up what they can. In politics, that is a recipe for disaster. We'll be right back.
Need a marketing agency to help you take care of business? Visit Quinzel.com. Our clients get more customers.
Getting the word out about your business takes marketing. And while any business person can place an ad online or elsewhere, being interviewed by your local TV or radio reporter or anchor instantly brands you the expert. Contacts Media was founded by an on-air news veteran of 40 years who worked in the nation's #1 media market. He and his team have the knowledge and contacts to get you booked locally and in other major markets. For more information, visit Contacts Media today at contactsmedia.com.
That's it for this week's edition of Power and Politics. On behalf of my co-hosts, political psychologist Dr. Bart Rossi, and the fine folks working behind the scenes, thanks for joining us. As always, we'd like to know what you think. Visit us at powerandpolitics.tv or email us at info@powerandpolitics.tv. We'll see you next time.